Welcome into the Commanders Report. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and on today's show, the Commanders just got some great news from the National Football League that we'll cover at the top of the show. Then we'll get into the latest surrounding Marshawn Lattimore and why it's a little bit of a sticky situation and why the Commanders have not released Lattimore at this stage in the offseason yet. Then we'll get into Sonny Styles, the star of the show at the Combine yesterday in Indianapolis, and why I think the Washington Commanders should think about drafting him at number 7 overall. Then we'll finish up today's show with the NFLPA giving Dan Quinn an A-plus grade. I have some thoughts on that and why I think he got that grade. Only 3 head coaches in the league got that high of a grade, and I've got some good things to say about DQ at the end of today's show, so make sure you guys stick around for that. But before we get into the content today, if you guys want to join the Washington drinking team just in time for St. Patrick's Day, you guys can go to chatsports.com/DCGreen and pick up your Washington drinking team t-shirt today. By the way, guys, this t-shirt not only comes in green for St. Patrick's Day, but if you like a little bit more of the muted colors, the neutral colors, you can go for the black design as well. I helped our design team here at Chat Sports come up with this design here. You've got the Commanders helmet with that 4-leaf clover on there. I think it's a pretty darn cool design here, and this t-shirt's only $29.99 on our website right now. It's limited edition. It goes away after St. Patrick's Day, so this is a limited time offer for you guys. And my bosses tell me the more of these babies that we sell, the more merch that we get. So if you guys want scary Terry McLaurin t-shirts, if you guys want Jayden Daniels themed t-shirts, if you guys want these merch opportunities here on the Commanders Report, we got to prove to our bosses that we can push these on our website here, guys. So if you want to help out the show today and you want more of those merch opportunities in the future, go chatsports.com/DCGreen. That link is down there in the comments and description of today's show. Click that link, make a purchase. I greatly appreciate your guys' support. All right, so now let's get into this first bit of great news for the Washington Commanders here from the National Football League, that the NFL has officially set the 2026 salary cap for this year, and they are increasing the cap by $22 million, getting it to over $300 million at $301.2 million is going to be the new cap number for NFL teams heading into the 2026 season. And that now means, after they just released Tyler Biadasz yesterday, that the team is going to have an estimated around $92 million in cap space, and that's before they end up letting go of Marshawn Lattimore, which you know is going to be coming at some point during the offseason. And after they release Lattimore, which should be here within the next couple of weeks before NFL free agency, or at least the first couple days of free agency, it's going to get to over $100 million. This will be the second offseason in a row where the Washington Commanders will have over $100 million in cap to spend, and hopefully this year they spend a little bit more of it than they did last offseason. Now, the question that might be on your guys' mind, it certainly has been on mine, that's why I did a little bit more research into it here. Why hasn't the Washington Commanders cut Marshawn Lattimore, right? He's somebody that's slated to have an $18.5 million cap hit if he's on the team this year. He did not play well last year. He's coming off an ACL injury. Why hasn't the Commanders made this move? So I kind of dove into his contract a little bit last night, and the answer is because he got that injury, that ACL tear last year, and he's still dealing with that, and that injury happened playing football for the Commanders. That means the Commanders have to come to an agreement with Marshawn and his agent on an injury settlement, and any money that they pay Marshawn in that settlement is going to be going against the cap for the Washington Commanders during the 2026 season, okay? Something to keep in mind with Marshawn's situation here is that he does have a $2 million roster bonus that kicks in on March 15th, so you better believe the Commanders are going to want to get this injury settlement done by then, because they don't want to have to pay an extra $2 million against the cap for somebody that's not going to be on their roster next year. So I expect Marshawn's injury settlement to probably be around $3 million. We'll see where it ends up. Going. It'll probably be somewhere between 2.5 and 3.5. We'll see where they end up. Coming to an agreement here. But I would say, expected around that $3 million range. And that means Washington is likely going to save around $15.5 million against the cap. They won't save the full $18.5. If he didn't get injured, I can guarantee you the Commanders would have already let him go. But because he's dealing with that ACL injury and he needs to get an injury settlement for that, that's what's taking so long and why the Commanders have not signed him or has not let him go at this point in time. Now, coming up here on the Commanders Report, I'm going to tell you why I would take Sonny Styles, the linebacker out of Ohio State, in round 1 of the 2026 NFL Draft if I were the Washington Commanders after his stellar combine performance yesterday. But before I get into Sonny Styles here, let me know down there in the comment section which prospects are worth sticking and picking for at number 7 this year. How many are they, and then what are the prospects? Are you good with Arvell Reese, Ruben Bain, David Bailey, Jeremiah Love, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs? There's a number of different players that could go to the Commanders at number 7. How many players are you cool sticking and picking for at number 7 this year as opposed to trading back? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. For me, I only have 4 players that I'd be willing to stick and pick for at this stage in the draft process, guys. Sonny Styles is one of those players, but let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section for today's pinned question. In just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at Harry's. Well, I tell you about Harry's today, let me know how many players are worth sticking and picking for. And with that, let's have a word from our sponsor today at Harry's. And guys, life is all about continual improvement, and that includes the products that we use every single day. Your phone is practically a supercomputer in your pocket. Cars can park and even drive themselves now. Your headphones can cancel outside noise like magic, but your razor is likely still flimsy, overpriced, and stuck back in 2008. That's where our friends at Harry's Plus come in. Harry's Plus has an advanced pivoting system to reach every corner of your face, refined blade tech for a closer, smoother shave, and a weighted metal handle, which is Harry's heaviest handle ever for added control and comfort. It feels like an expensive shave without having to break the bank. With Harry's Plus, each blade is honed at 3 different angles to cut hair cleanly at the root without tugging. Blade spacing is optimized to glide smoothly and avoid clogging. Every cartridge includes a lubricating strip with aloe and vitamin E to calm skin while you shave. But maybe the best part about Harry's Plus is how affordable it is. Harry's owns their own world-class blade factory in Germany, which means no outsourcing and no middlemen. And because they control the entire process from steel to shelf, they can keep costs low and pass the savings on to you. And if you don't love your shave, Harry's is going to make it right with you, no questions asked. The risk-free trial means there's zero downside to giving them a shot. And just to show you guys I actually use and love Harry's products, in fact, I've been using these products since I was in college. I actually brought my Harry's Plus razor to show you guys. You got that weighted metal handle. It gets that little bit of heft in your hand as opposed to some of the plastic razors out there. And it's just a really premium feel for not a premium price tag. And I can't recommend this product more to you guys. So for a limited time only, our listeners can get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/chat. This set includes the all-new Harry's Plus razor, 1 refined 5-blade cartridge, a 2-ounce foaming shave gel, and a travel cover to protect your blades on the go. Just head on over to harrys.com/chat to claim this offer, and after you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. And a big thank you to Harry's for sponsoring today's edition of the Commanders Report. So yesterday, Sonny Styles absolutely lit the NFL Combine on fire with one of the greatest performances we have ever seen from an athlete in Indianapolis. He had a 9.99 relative athletic score yesterday. The only reason why it's not a perfect 10 is because he just had a good score on the 3-cone, but everything else, from size to the explosiveness to the speed, everything is at an elite level. And when you pair that up with some of the best pass defending tape you're going to see from a linebacker prospect that I've seen in a while. You got, the stuff in the run game. He's got the sideline speed. I don't think Styles is a perfect prospect specifically as a linebacker because, his run diagnostics do need to get better. He's pretty new to the position, but obviously he's got all of the tools that you're looking for in a potential star linebacker or at least middle of the field defensive player. But now Styles is one of my stick and pick players. Now, earlier this week, I actually said that I wouldn't take Sonny Styles in the top 10, but the reason why I've changed my mind is because I've kind of had a revelation. I've kind of had a vision here, guys, of Sonny Styles not playing linebacker for the Washington Commanders, but playing in the secondary as this team's big nickel. At 245 pounds, this guy is an absolute freak of nature. He can cover. He's a former safety, so it's not going to be all new to him. And, if you have a 245-pound nickel, that means that the Commanders pretty much never have have to play in base defense. They can just sit in nickel, and they can do a lot of creative things in the front. They can do a lot of different things. Like the amount of stuff that a guy like Sonny Styles can open up for a guy like Durante Jones schematically, I mean, the possibilities are really endless when you have a guy like that as your big nickel. Just ask Mike McDonald how Nick Emmanwori has changed life there in Seattle. And, this is something that, was talked about yesterday, how he compares to a guy like Kyle Hamilton, who is one of the better big nickels in the league. And they're a very similar profile, only Sonny Styles is 25 pounds heavier, yet he still runs a faster 40-yard dash time, is more explosive than Kyle Hamilton. And when you watch Styles on film, his coverage instincts are awesome. So I think Sonny Styles, even at 245 pounds, has the athletic ability and the coverage ability to play as like a big nickel, almost a safety type in an NFL defense. And he can be a complete game changer for a team like the Washington Commanders that could be looking to implement that three safety, big nickel type of defense that Brian Flores runs in Minnesota, right? And that's exactly why they bring in Durante Jones, to run that style of system. So Styles is a former safety. He's got the athleticism. He's got the size to be able to hold up super, super well. If people try to run to the outside towards his side where he's playing in the slot, good luck. He's going to bring down that running back like that, man. There's no wide receiver that's going to be able to block him at 245 pounds. This guy can be an absolute X factor on day one for the Washington Commanders as a big nickel. And if he makes it to you at number 7, I would seriously consider taking him if I'm the Washington Commanders. And if you just need to look at what a big nickel can do to a defense, just look at what Nick Emmanwori, the rookie safety out of South Carolina from last year's draft, did for the now Super Bowl champion defense in the Seattle Seahawks. He is a big part of that dark side defense that was so good this year. And when you have a guy that size, that's that good of a tackler and that good in space and that good of an athlete, when you have that incredible combination of physical gifts, it just opens so much up for the rest of the defense and for the defensive play caller. You don't have to change personnel. You can just stick with pretty much nickel and dime personnel all the time because you've got the size to keep this kind of big nickel personnel out there all the time on all downs and distances. And this is something that I would love to see implemented here in Washington, and Sonny Styles might be the perfect player to be able to implement this style of defense. And like I said, guys, you'd never have to get out of nickel if you have a guy like Sonny Styles, because he's essentially a linebacker. You would almost have like a pseudo 4-3 defense out there all the time, but you've got this incredibly gifted, athlete that's played linebacker, that's played safety in Sonny Styles, that's awesome out in coverage. Like, his versatility as a player could completely transform the Washington Commanders defense as a big nickel. But listen, man, it's possible that he goes to the Giants at 5 or, maybe a little bit earlier than that. Who knows? Maybe the Cardinals fall in love with him and at number 3, and it's possible Styles doesn't even make it to the Commanders at number 7. If that's the case, somebody that I would keep my eye on for this bigger nickel type of role is the undersized linebacker out of Pitt, Kyle Lewis, who we've talked about on the channel before. This guy is awesome in coverage as well, undersized. He's got good speed, not great speed like Styles does, but he's 20 pounds lighter than Styles is. And he reminds me a lot of Josh Metellus, who was kind of that big nickel player for the Minnesota Vikings and Brian Flores' defense in Minnesota over the last several years. I'm guessing that Durante Jones wants to find a player kind of that caliber and of that kind of vein. And I think Kyle Lewis from Pitt could be that big nickel piece for the Washington Commanders if you can't get Sonny Styles. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comment section. Would you draft Sonny Styles at number 7 overall to play nickel for the Washington Commanders? Give me a yes or no down there in the comment section. For me, I think this could be a game-changing move that completely transforms the Commanders' defense on day 1 next week, or next year, I should say, but let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Give me a yes or a no. Now, we'll finish up today's show with a little bit of Dan Quinn here, as Coach Q has been given a perfect A+ by the NFL Players Association. Essentially, they have a report card where they have the players on the team kind of report back to the NFLPA, how are the facilities, how is the coaching, all that different stuff. And Dan Quinn was one of only the 3 head coaches in the entire National Football League to get an A+ from the players. And, Dan Quinn is the type of guy that players love playing for, man, and he is a big reason why a lot of these players have come to play for Washington, why they want to stay here in Washington. I think he's done a phenomenal job building a winning culture here in Washington, even if last year things didn't go the way that we wanted to on the football field. And listen, man, when you listen to Coach Q talk, like when you can just feel his enthusiasm, his energy, you can just tell he has the right mentality when he talks about, the vision that he has for this football team, for the players within this locker room. And, every time I listen to Dan Q talk football, I just want to run through a wall. And I can only imagine what it's like in that meeting room where he's talking about, the game matchups every single week and all that different stuff. It's no wonder why players absolutely love playing for this guy. Now, Jordyn Tyson, who had a formal interview with the Washington Commanders, the wide receiver out of Arizona State, he's going to go in round 1. I don't think the Commanders are going to go wide receiver in round 1. I think they're going to sign Brandon Ayuk. But Jordyn Tyson had a very interesting comment on his favorite meeting at the NFL Combine this week, which he said was the Commanders meeting. This is what he had to say. To be honest, the Commanders was my favorite meeting. The format that they had it, just the way that they did it, kudos to them. To be honest with you, they was just pulling up pictures and have you talk about what it means to you and stuff like that. And, Dan Quinn actually talked about his kind of philosophy when it comes to these Combine meetings in an interview with CBS earlier this week. And I thought that it just shows like how good of a guy and, how much he really cares about these guys on a human level and how he just gets it from a football perspective as well. This is what Coach Q had to say about his Combine meetings as the head coach of the Commanders. I like the interview process with the players, getting to know their story, their whys. They are rehearsed, and we try to get them off that as fast as we can. Sometimes we'll just throw a picture up on screen of maybe their high school and say, tell me about this. What was that like? Or a picture of them with their family. Like, who is this? How does that make you feel? A picture of their stadium, and ask, what does a week look like leading up to the game? Just having some pictures that they did not know that we had, it just kind of disarms them a little bit because because this is just the first part of it. It's not the only time we're going to visit with them. As tough as the pandemic was, we learned we can get a lot of information on Zoom and meetings and doing that stuff so that happens through March. You get on the calls and you go through it. I have been really impressed by some of the players I've met here, the football knowledge, their way to go. So I like that part of it. And, I think that this answer from Dan Quinn just kind of shows, like, he doesn't take this thing too seriously, the NFL Combine. He understands that this is just the first time that he's going to be meeting with these players. It's not like, a player in their future with the Commanders and whether or not they're going to take them or not is going to be determined in that room. They just want to get to know them as a person and, bring up some awesome moments for them. And obviously the players really appreciate it, just like Jordyn Tyson said. And, how could you just not love Coach Quinn, man, with his enthusiasm, with his optimism, with the energy that he brings to every single day as the head coach of the Washington Commanders. I think that's why players love playing for him. That's why I love covering him as the host of the Commanders Report. And, I'm really hoping that he can be the guy and the next head coach to deliver a championship here in Washington because, man, for somebody that works as hard as he does, for somebody that's as good of a person as he is, I think if there's anyone that deserves that success, it's Dan Quinn. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. How happy are you that Dan Quinn is our head coach? Put it on a scale of 1 to 10 for me down there in the comments section. 1 meaning I hate him, let's fire him, to 10 meaning he's one of the best head coaches in the National Football League. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. And that'll be it for today's edition of Commanders News and Rumors here from the NFL Combine. I really do appreciate all of your guys' support. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we're going to get you guys more great Commanders content throughout the weekend here. Of course, if the Commanders make any big moves, just like last year when they traded for Deebo Samuel during the NFL Combine, we're going to make sure to get you guys breaking news coverage when and if that hits. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Till next time, guys, go raise some hail.